To summarize it, Jaehwan reveals that he got caught up in something by chance, entered chaos. Then he got the spirit stone from the Emerald Bug clan by chance and entered Gorgon Fortress. After that, he got caught up in the incident that time round also by chance, met the divine physician, and managed to learn the divine physician's dead / even though he has only seen it once. Chungheo asks Chiver whether he believes that story, yet Chiver claims that he is, which kind of insane to begin with. So, Chiver adds that in order to gain someone else's trust, he need to first trust that person. He then asks again, the body which Jaehwan is living in right now is a living one. That surprises Jaehwan, he inwardly thinking that he didn't enter the tower and came out of the Tower of Nightmare by destroying it, which is why he is in soul form. There's a high chance that the illusion tree mistook him as a dead and sent him to chaos, as his physical body is probably still on Earth. So he asks Chiver how did he knows that Jaehwan is not dead. Then Chiver explained that no one in chaos would describe their own death as Jaehwan did. And he asks whether Jaehwan doesn't want to reveal his identity due to something like he is being threatened by someone, which Jaehwan says that he doesn't. In the end, Chiver apologizes to Jaehwan, revealing that for the last 4 days, Chiver has sent his subordinates to monitor him, which Jaehwan already knows, that Chiver already expected as well. He then pull out an information window on Jaehwan. Chiver reveals that he is much stronger than the fortress thought, so it was pretty hard for them to monitor Jaehwan. Though, it's not like they didn't gain anything out of it. The information of Jaehwan is, his danger level is SS. His power level cannot be estimated. And known damage caused around 380 million horns worth. In the end, Chiver asks whether Jaehwan knows what others call someone like Jaehwan is. Chungheo shouts that he is a crazy person. Even Jaehwan agree and expresses how he has no idea that Jaehwan is a hero or a villain. Chiver then says that Jaehwan might be a hero to some and a crazy person to others. People are calling him by various nicknames. But to Chiver, people like Jaehwan are called protagonists. He adds that there is a special characteristic that belongs to protagonists like Jaehwan, the fact that they are famous. However, Jaehwan is not famous in any way. That means someone has been keeping Jaehwan's information hidden from the public eye, and it seems that power is hostile towards Jaehwan. If they are the people behind him, he wouldn't have had any trouble with the identification documents. He reveals that Jaehwan is a protagonist who is being chased by some kind of large power, which also happened to escape to chaos by chance. Jaehwan thinks for a moment, a power that is chasing after him. Although he is not sure of it, he assumes that it be that person known as the Monarch of Pitch Darkness. So he left wondering, with just how strong are those monarchs. Then he asks Chiver whether the master of the Gorgon Fortress is strong enough to go up against the 12 monarchs of the Almighty Land. Chiver feels relief because if one of the 12 monarchs is the one that chasing after Jaehwan, they wouldn't be able to interfere in the matters that occur within chaos. So he asks him what does he wants in return, which Chiver tells him that Jaehwan only need to do one favor for them, to save the fortress master. 2 hours later, in the dungeon of the castle, Jaehwan is led towards the training room. It is then revealed that the Northern Inspection Gate Captain and Mino are recovering in the treatment center. The person who leads them confused with why they want to go to the training ground instead of the VIP room, which Chungheo answer that they need to know which is stronger, between Jaehwan's dead trusts or the divine physician's dead /. Chungheo then asks Jaehwan whether he cleared the Tower of Master as well. It turns out that Chungheo knows something about it, but only will tell Jaehwan when he is able to beat the divine physician. He even says that it's probably impossible for Jaehwan. A few moments later, from below the ground, Chungheo asks Jaehwan to fight again. The training ground is already in shambles, as Jaehwan says that the match has already been decided. But the old man claims that he still hasn't used his ultimate technique, saying that he is worried for Jaehwan might die if he uses it. After that, the old man asks how old Jaehwan is, and he answers that he is around 60 years. That makes Chungheo screams again, saying that he is already 1,000 years old. He claims that a mere 60 years of thrusting would never have a chance at winning against his 1,000 years of slashing. Well, Jaehwan mocks him. He says that for his point of view, it looks like the old man has only done it for 10 years. That makes the old man mad, and he jumps from his hole, as he wants to see if Jaehwan can still say that after getting hit by him now. With his slashing technique, he performs his strongest attack towards Jaehwan, releasing a tiger-like spirit aura from his blade. Jaehwan strikes back, receiving all what the old man's has towards him. He gets pushed back and the old man expresses how Jaehwan is actually not bad for it. Where in fact, Jaehwan is a little surprised to learn that he got pushed back after using his normal trust. Looking beat up, Chungheo says how good Jaehwan technique is and asks him with what it's called, where Jaehwan nonchalantly says that it's just a normal trust. He then reveals that he has stronger technique as well and starts releasing his aura, a bloodlust filling the room, which makes the old man shiver. Chungheo now sees that Jaehwan can be said the sole king of chaos. It reminds him the horror he experienced when he faced the king. Now he left wondering with whether he is able to cut through it, as he imagines Jaehwan's power, even though it's not yet able to be compared to the Soul King. But with that level of power, the Gorgon Fortress will be destroyed to ashes. In the end, the old man panicked and admit defeat, calling Jaehwan as punk. Somewhere else, in the 5th region of the Almighty Land, the region of Strong Steel, a spy reports to the monarch of Strong Steel, Chungheo, that the current monarch of Pitch Darkness is trying to contact Chaos. He reveals that all the monarchs of the Almighty Land have already signed a secret treaty to not interfere with the matters of Chaos. The spy, terrified, facing the monarch as he doesn't know what happened. He can only asks the monarch to see the video he plays. It's a Jaehwan's video that able to clear the 99th floor that's been going around. They call him a product, and it is said that he is in contract with the 9th region's monarch of Pitch Darkness. As Chungheo asks the man where the product is, he reveals that Jaehwan refused to clear the tutorial, broke through the ceiling of the tower, and has escaped to Chaos. The man also reveals the fact that Jaehwan killed the cultivator on the 100th floor. It further informed that the monarch of Pitch Darkness seems to have been involved with the matters of Chaos for a long time. Out of the 10 clans within Chaos, a few of them have been in constant contact with the monarch. Chungheo left wondering with what the monarch of Pitch Darkness up to, and decides sending 10 elites warriors of the Gold 1 grades and a High Awaken. It turns out that he knows Chungheo, as he also wondering if Chungheo is doing well. While at the Gorgon Fortress, he screams at Jaehwan, begging him to stop, as he grabs the spirit sword. And Jaehwan says that he heard the old man, and tells Chungheo to get down already. Laying on the ground, he asks what kind of bastard would be able to do such a technique with only just a thrust for 40 years. And Jaehwan reveals that he done about 1 billion thrusts, as he also reveals that he is doing thrusts not only with his sword. That surprises the old man, as he feels the sharp and alien energy that comes from Jaehwan. Though it wasn't anything like pressure, it's a thrust that carries a horrifying hostility toward Chaos. Now he knows that a 60-years-old kid in his eyes, Jaehwan has become the thrust himself, and is thrusting toward the world every second, and even at this very moment. Jaehwan then mentioned a contract that they agreed on before the duel, and it stated that the loser has to grant the winner a wish. So they take a walk outside the fortress, where he explained things one by one. The towers, such as the Tower of Nightmare, made by the mayors, and they have ranks from F to S, but among the mayors, there are existences that don't care about things like ranks. A master is someone who already made S-rank towers when they were an apprentice, someone who reached the top of a renowned artisan quickly. However, not all towers made by a master would be a Tower of Master. Among them, there are towers that are made with no intention to perform cultivations. Only unique towers are known as Tower of Master, and among those who cleared the Tower of Master, Awakened would appear occasionally. The old man also reveals that he came out of the 4th Tower of the Master, Melville. It was a tower known as the Moby Dick in the world. A white whale would appear on the 1st floor of the tower, and target humans every minute. It was not difficult for the Chungheo now, but back then, it was a tower that was very similar to a disaster to him. Many of the martial master of Murim died, and clearing that tower was practically a miracle for him. The old man notices that Jaehwan also looks like came from a Tower of Master too, so he asks him which one is it. So Jaehwan reveals that the tower is made by Mullark, which leaving the old man confuses as he thinks that there wouldn't be any Awakened that could clear Mullark's tower. Jaehwan asks whether the old man knows Mullark, which he says that he is. It turns out that Chungheo has traveled with Mullark in the past. That surprises Jaehwan, so he wants further explanation, and Chungheo asks him to walk outside, explaining that the story is quite long. So they go to a street stall brimming with people who eat, drink and stuff. They also meet with Claire, which can be seen looks like a little bump with the Jaehwan's presence. The other side of Chaos, the people who die in either the tower or the war on the Almighty Land. The people drop their job to enjoy their reclaimed life from the horror of war and fighting for their life. However, in such paradise, humans started to want the opposite. They missed real life which had death, and began to act like they were living a real life. Though they don't feel hungry, they live a life to eat as if they will die if not, and drank water as if it's water than to act drunk. However, one day, drunkards that started to do new things appeared, an expedition that dreams of impossible and gathers people together to rediscover real life. That's the Abyss Expedition, to look for the fruit of resurrection. They are fruits that hang on the branches of the illusion tree at the end of the abyss, a fruit that can revive someone who's dead, and the only way that the dead of chaos can come back alive is by eating the fruit of resurrection. Chungheo explained that the Abyss Expedition is an alliance that was formed for the sake of finding that fruit. At that time, Chungheo had awakened already, and he was at the age where he was fearless, and Mullark also in the expedition as the captain. And Chungheo expresses how unique Mullark is. Going back at the Abyss Expedition, Mullark expresses how he can't believe that Chungheo managed to achieve an incomplete awakening without abandoning his emotions. Chungheo is mad at him, throws his sword to Mullark and asks why is a mare going to the abyss. It turns out that Mullark is a mare that regretted making towers existed. Mullark says that it's okay if Chungheo don't believe his words. He explained that the reason he went to the illusion tree and is going to the abyss is because of that tower. The one that ends all cultivation. That's his reason for joining the expedition. In the end, Chungheo joins the expedition as well and manages to reach the illusion tree, where he witnessed that the fruits began to drop from the branches. Thanks to that, each of the expedition members were able to go back to Chaos with arms full of the fruits. Unfortunately, when the expedition are heading back to Chaos, the monarchs and patriarchs of the Almighty Land were waiting at the entrance. Chungheo explained that while they didn't have the courage to go back into the abyss, the 4 fortress masters and 10 faction leaders who were part of the expedition at that time weren't a match for those bastards at all. There was an overwhelming difference in power, as they were of a totally different league. That was how the fruit was stolen from the people of Chaos, and those bastards still use the fruits that they stole to revive themselves each time they die. And they have been doing that for 900 years. It's as if they had another place that's built for them, a place known as the Resurrection Palace. The monarchs and the 5 great families would take turns reviving when they died. It was decided from the starts who would live. Jaehwan now knows why the people are all so lethargic. They knew it. For the real life they wanted, the fruit was something they would never be able to obtain. And after the expedition, Mullark, the expedition's captain, is never seen again. He seemed to have said something that no one knows before he disappeared. Suddenly, Jaehwan, the extermination squad captain, comes in running, saying that they got a big trouble, adding that a dead appeared in the fortress with 10 times the size of what Jaehwan possesses.